found for my kids.
And that's excellent. And I would say that one of the biggest things with children, they don't drink water. And a lot of times this upset stomach is because they eat and they didn't drink enough water. They don't drink water throughout the day. They may drink soda pops and Kool-Aids and not liquid. It's not water. When we talk about water, we're saying water. Coffee and soda are both diuretics, as an example, so you have a net loss of water. So I tell, for every cup of coffee you drink, you better drink another 10, 15 ounces of water. For every soda pop, another 10, 15 ounces of water. Alcohol, another 10, 15 ounces of water. But most children just don't seem to drink water. So it's really important to get them into a habit that very young in life to drink water. And again, it's critical when you drink water. So one of the things that I teach my clients, especially the children, when they have these little upset stomachs and they just don't feel well or they're really congested, I tell them, drink that first glass of water when you first wake up in the morning. Then make sure that you're always drinking a glass 30 to 45 minutes before a meal. Don't drink any cold liquid with the meal. Usually room temp would be okay, or a little hotter than room temperature. And then make sure you drink a nice big glass about 2 hours after the meal. Now, why we don't drink the cold water with the meal is because the digestion takes place at about 104 degrees in the stomach. You drink an ice cold glass of water with the meal, the digestion goes down, the enzyme reactions slow down, you don't digest your food as well. So it's important. Drinking water is probably one of the single most critical things for promoting health. And drinking ozonated water would be an additional benefit to just drinking water itself.
Yes, doctor. When drinking ozonated water, could I expect any flu-like symptoms?
Remember we talked before in the other protocol with the electrification of the blood about this Herxheimer reaction, this die-off, and that's actually the medical term that's used for the healing crisis, the cleansing reaction, the detox phase that most people in natural health care have heard at one time or another. One of the benefits of drinking ozonated water is that it actually cuts that reaction. Remember, the Herxheimer reaction is to get rid of these microbes and bacteria and fungus and yeasts, things that we're attempting to clean our body out. Well, ozone helps in that process. It helps in two ways. One, it's a detoxifier. It actually kills those organisms. But also, which we really haven't covered, is that it's oxygenator. You're getting a supersaturated oxygen water. You're drinking that supersaturated oxygen water. That oxygen is absorbed directly into the bloodstream through the mucous membranes in your stomach and through the intestine. Some of that oxygen is going through the portal vein directly to the liver. Some is going directly into your capillary system and throughout the entire body. So you're actually getting a higher concentration of oxygen. Now, this has been tested in a pulse oximeter that medical doctors use, where you put it on your finger and you can actually measure the amount of dissolved oxygen in the bloodstream. And remember, we are oxygen beings and we are electrical beings. So we want to use both the electricity from the microcurrents and the oxygen from the ozone, and that's going to help restore health. Again, not to do a specific disease, it's to promote health. And how can you not promote health with more oxygen?
Excuse me, you mentioned earlier that they're using ozone medically in Europe. Now, is that to actually cure specific diseases?
Absolutely. There's research now in Cuba. Cuba is one of the leading proponents of using ozone, and they're doing for HIV. And they actually take a medical grade ozone with a medical green bottle of oxygen, and they will get it into the blood directly. There's what's called autohemolation, which you can, one of the machines, one of the best in the world, was by Basil Wainwright, which was like a dialysis machine hooked directly to the ozone. The blood would come out of the body, go through an ozonator, so that you're ozonating a total volume of blood, and then they would put the blood back into the body. In Germany and Europe, throughout Europe, they're also doing what's called rectal insufflation or vaginal insufflation or autohemolation, where they'll fill a syringe with maybe 30 cc's of ozone and then very slowly inject that ozone into the bloodstream. There's also bagging of ozone that can be done. There's many different ways of using ozone, but when you're talking about these higher saturations and using medical and syringes and all of these other things, you really want to do that under the care of a health professional and someone that's trained in the use of ozone. But ozone is, I think, one of the greatest boons to mankind. More important, to have a small unit at home where you can take an active role in your own health care. Why wait until you have a disease and you have to go to a doctor and spend $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 to get the ozone treatments, maybe $400 or $500 a treatment, or you have to buy ozone equipment that can be so expensive. To buy a bagging ozone machine for bagging, you may spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. So Bob Beck has given us the ability to use these 4 protocols with these 3 machines to actually promote our own health at home. Once those symptoms are eliminated, you then have the ability to practice true preventive medicine.
Yes, Eliezer, I was wondering if I'm likely to feel a difference once I've ingested ozonated water.
Actually, yes, there is. You may find that you're having great bowel movements, that you're peeing real well, that all of a sudden, if you've never sweated before, all of a sudden your body starts to sweat again, that all metabolic processes are improved. So if you've been suffering a lot of constipation or other kinds of where the elimination systems are not working to optimum, you may feel that. You might even feel energized. It's oxygen that you're using, so you will usually feel energized. And often, I suggest to my clients, when they are doing these protocols that starts to flush toxins out of the body, by drinking more ozonated water, you're actually alleviating those symptoms even more. That more than not, you're alleviating the Herxheimer reaction. Hi, and welcome back for the next part of the 4-part Bob Beck Protocol using the water Ozonator. Now, it's important to understand that this unit, the one endorsed by Dr. Bob Beck, is made with all medical grade parts that are non-corrosive, non-reactive to ozone. And this is critical. I can't stress this enough. You'll also see here that this is silicone tubing. If this was regular plastic tubing, you would see that it would dissipate and actually melt in a matter of seconds. The machine itself is air-fed. It's using ambient air, so that means this is not to be used for other purposes other than making ozonated water. It has a cold corona, it has an air pump built in, and it is a 12-volt unit. Now, 12 volt is unique because you can use it for your RV or your camper. If you've ever been camping and you want to drink the river water and you're not sure that it's clean and sterilized, well then this will do that. We also have a medical grade ceramic diffuser and a Kynar hose attachment. All of this is non-reactive to ozone, and that is critical. You can see we'll put the diffuser in and you'll see the bubbles of the ozone coming out. Notice that I'm blowing with my hand. I'm kind of waving the ozone to me. You don't really just want to smell, but it has a very distinct odor to it. Ozone is phenomenal. It smells like you've been just outside of a storm, a thunderstorm or lightning storm. It has that same clean, really refreshing smell. Now, the temperature of the water, ice cold, the colder the water, the more ozone that it will actually store. Now, here I'm showing you, because ozone water only lasts about 20 minutes, so if you're going to not drink it right away, you want to store it with a top on, and I suggest storing it in a cold container. No, very important. You'll see that we're making this in glass and we're storing it in glass. Ozone is extremely